Hey guys, welcome to the team call. So good to see so many faces on right away. Might have a little to do with my little gift offering, perhaps. I don't know. It's okay. I'm not above bribes. No, not at all. They're called incentives. I do it with my children all the time. Incentives, not bribes, right? Expert parenting is what it is. But anyway, welcome to the call. I'm so excited for tonight's content. So I don't want to take much of your time talking to you, but just to say, great January so far. You guys are just doing awesome. Yeah, I really don't want to talk about much, except I want to hand this over because I know that Andrea and Katie have a lot for you. But if anybody, this is your first time on a team call, we do these every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard, and it's recorded, and I always share this in the team files section, so if you're not familiar with the team files section, ask your upline, but I load the link, the YouTube link, every morning, every Wednesday morning, or someone does for me. Someone does it for me because I'm bad about loading things to YouTube. It takes me forever, but it gets there, and you can find the recordings. So if you ever can't, when you're not making it live, ideally you can come together and have family time. But obviously that doesn't happen all the time. So definitely make it a point to grab those trainings. That's how we communicate. That's how we train. As we learn things, we try to update our training that way, and we have guest speakers. So definitely take advantage of that. I don't know if you guys have noticed that it took me like a couple weeks to realize what was happening, why the audio sounded weird on National Wake Up Call. But it's because they're now doing it via Zoom as well, so you can listen to it the same way we always have. But so if you don't know this, they are now doing the National Wake Up Call using the Zoom software like this. In the Team Beachbody 411 page, which I think is a really genius idea. So you can actually watch the speaker. And that I think that's a neat feature. So and Lindsay Matway had a really great topic this week, and I thought it was very perfect and appropriate to go along with ours. So essentially the same thing. She talked about this being her comeback year. So it really supports that content. So I'm going to just hand this over to Andrea and Katie, but let me really quickly introduce them. For those of you who don't know, I started coaching almost 5 years ago, 5 years ago, and Andrea was one of my very first working coaches. And I love Andrea and Katie, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your story. I know you feel like you've shared it a bunch of times, but not everyone's heard it. It's not everyone knows, all those details that, I know you say it all the time, but I think it's really important. So Andrea joined me a few months in, and Andrea just, bless her heart, she just trusted me. She didn't know what the heck we were doing. It just sounded fun to her. She was just, whatever you say, we'll do it. Okay. And obviously, she was one of the first who really locked arms with me, and I'm super grateful that she had faith in my vision, because I wouldn't have been able to make the kind of momentum happen and have Team Phoenix have the culture that it has today without Andrea. No doubt about it. She was such a critical key to this team getting the culture it has and the feel it has, and the momentum it has. So, and obviously she's had a lot of success in the business. She's a 5-star diamond, has hit elite before, premier before. I know she's hit Success Club a bazillion months in a row. I'm not even sure where you're at in terms of that. What it was, legend something plus. And then, so I'll let you share more of your story. And then Katie, I met her at the gym I was working at, and I just really liked her. We just kind of would, have conversation. She took my class, and she started with a program, was totally in it for the discount, but her husband worked at the gym I was teaching at, and so I would bring her stuff, like contraband Shakeology packets at the gym, slipping it in his office, and she kind of started coaching really casually. It was like, oh, ho hum, I'm just gonna help some people, free groups, kind of like a hobby, but all of a sudden Homegirl took off, and she's also 5-star diamond elite, and has had a lot of success in her business, and just very near and dear women to my heart. But they both have some similar experiences that they want to share their wisdom and insight. And these are some women to learn from, y'all. These are tremendous leaders, a lot of great experience, and we have awesome teams. Katie's Team Alive, and Andrea has Transformation Nation, all under the umbrella of Team Phoenix. And yeah, I'm a big fan of these two. So I'm gonna let them. But the really cool thing for me is, like, I met Andrea in Morgantown when I was living there, and then we hadn't talked for a while when we got connected again. And Katie I met in Rochester. I think it's just crazy how these people that I met at different parts of my life are now part of this part of my life, and they're great friends. I think that's one of the most amazing things about this, is the people that, have come together because of this, that have formed these bonds. And I can look back at it and be like, dang, I said yes, and that's why this happened. And I mean, I'm going to pat myself on the back there. I think that's amazing. I think it's amazing what this has the potential to do, and the opportunity to, like, bring amazing people together and form amazing bonds. So, okay, I said I wasn't going to talk that much, but it's very special for me, and I'm very proud, and I love these two a lot. So, Andrea and Katie, go ahead and unmute yourselves, and go ahead and take it away.
Okay. All right. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. Okay, so Katie and I were literally just sending each other, like, those GIFs via Messenger before this, like, pumping each other up, like, we totally got this. Megan is right. We are friends, very good friends, on top of being, sister coaches is what we've kind of always termed ourselves. Jen, Katie, Stephanie, and I, kind of the original four first big working coaches. We always have kind of referred to ourselves as sister coaches. But I am going to kick us off tonight, and then I'm going to share a little bit about my story, like Megan asked, and then I'm going to just be really honest and raw and vulnerable with you all about this topic that's very near and dear to my heart, which is how to turn your setback into a comeback. And then Katie's going to go a little bit and share a little bit more about her story and her journey. And then we both have some kind of tangible steps. We both were teachers in our former life. So we are very big on giving you something that is going to be easy for you to take from this call and implement it into your business. We want it to be, I want it to be a feel-good call. My team knows I'm okay with being authentic. I am okay with kind of just spilling it all and, like, putting it out there. And I think that is important. But at the same time, I want this to be a call that Katie and I want this to be a call that you can take and kind of run with it and actually hopefully implement some of these things. So, as Megan said, I'm Andrea Stevens. I am a wife and a mommy of 4 young children, ages 10 to a year and a half. I've been coaching for 4 years, just over 4 years now. I have known Megan longer than probably most people on this call, minus her family. But I met Megan years and years and years ago when she lived. We both, I believe, only had one baby at the time. Our babies are 10, 11, our oldest ones are 10, 11, 12 years old now, and we only had one each. So about a decade ago at the time. And I worked out at the gym that she taught at. And we became, loved taking her classes, and we church kind of ran in the same circles. And that is how I met her. And she, not too long after that, moved to Rochester, and we kind of lost touch. And she knew that I loved Beachbody programs because I had introduced her to P90X at the gym after she had had her second baby, Grady. We were looking to kind of bounce. She was looking to bounce back from that strong, and we started kind of doing it at the gym together. And so she knew I loved Beachbody programs and reached out to me. I didn't have Facebook, so I had no idea what she was doing. I was anti-social media. And she reached out to me and asked how I was doing, because at this point I was pregnant with my third, and I had gained 55 pounds with Eli. I was having my third C-section. This was right at the very end of my pregnancy, and I was, how did we do P90X together at the gym? I'll talk about that in a minute. Lots of free weights and jumping around, especially in the Plyo X. But we became, we became good friends, and we had lost touch, and I was pregnant with my third, and we hadn't talked for a while, and she reached out to me and just asked how I was doing. And I told her I was miserable and I couldn't wait to get this weight off. And she she told me about Focus T25 that was coming out. She knew I loved Beachbody products and programs, and I had loved Insanity. I'd done it after my second child, and I was in, and I had heard of Shakeology, but always told myself I was never a shake person and I wouldn't be interested. And so, but I always say I trusted her opinion. So remember that. People might not care about hearing it from certain people, but if they value you and your opinion, that makes a difference. And so I trusted Megan's opinion and bought a challenge pack. I didn't know I signed up to be a coach. I didn't even know what a coach was. I had no idea what she was doing. This was before we were doing challenge groups. I wasn't on Facebook to see any of the things that she was doing. So I had no idea what was available. But what I did do is I started my own health and fitness journey. I pushed play, had great results. And it was the very end of September of 2013. She came back to Morgantown to hang out with me and a couple other coaches, and we were going to watch the Super Saturday video. And she brought it, and I brought the baby in the car seat, and I went to see her only. I was not interested. I didn't know what it was. I didn't care, but I wanted to see Megan. And so I went and I watched. I remember sitting there watching this PowerPoint, thinking in this basement of, I believe it was Jessica Sizemore at the time. I can't remember where it was. Was that her? Yes, I thought we were in her basement just watching it. And I remember thinking, wow, this is really neat. And so that is kind of where it all began. I told her I was kind of interested in it, and she said she thought it would be pretty hard without being on Facebook. And so I came back onto social media, and she added me to the team page at the time, which was like 8 strong. Team Phoenix was like 8 strong. And you know, here I am over 4 years later. So I do have 4 consecutive years. Like she said, I had 4 consecutive years in Success Club. We're going to talk about that in a minute. 49 consecutive months. Success Club 10 legend and 5 legend. And I am a 5-star diamond in my first business center and a 1-star diamond in my second business center. And 2015 Elite, 2016 Premier. This is my full-time job. It's been a huge blessing. So that's kind of the accolades. That's kind of the backstory. So I've been doing this for a long time, and have always, I've truthfully loved it. But the purpose of this call tonight is to talk about a comeback. And so a few weeks ago, some of you may have noticed a video that I did in our team page. And if you haven't seen it yet, it was a live video that I did a few weeks back now, and it was called the Comeback Club. And it was inspired by a video that we have, those of us that are 5-star diamond coaches and above are added to a kind of a private group that is with corporate and other 5-star diamond and above leaders called the Roundtable. And it was inspired by another coach in the Roundtable who had posted about the idea of this comeback club. And it really inspired me because I had already been thinking of the same exact things, how I was going to do a call like this with my own team and talk about the importance of a comeback and how you can make a comeback. And so I got really brave one afternoon and decided to push the live button and just lay it all out there. So if you haven't seen my video, I do hope that you watch it. If you know, you can search for it in Team Phoenix Coaches. But I shared about the Comeback Club and how I wanted to lead a revolution per se, or lead a tribe of coaches to make a comeback in this business. And I said it's going to look different for everyone. Everyone's comeback is going to look different. The reason I did that was because my own team, my own leaders on my own team, Transformation Nation, and the leaders that I am very close with on Team Phoenix, all knew that this past fall in October, I made the decision to step back from my business. My own team knew, and the leaders knew. But I never addressed it publicly. I never addressed it on social media publicly, and I never addressed it in our larger team for various reasons. And when some things happened, and during that time I had a lot of clarity, which I'm going to get into. I'm very wordy, so I've got to keep on point with my notes, especially on something that I'm this passionate about. But I decided to go live on that day because I felt like the way that I was feeling, if I inspired one coach or one person in our team, who was all coaches, but regardless if you're a discount coach or you've been working the business for a long time and needed to come, took a break or whatever it was, I said if I inspired one person, it would be worth it. And the outpouring of just love and comments and messages and texts and just encouragement that I've received from the coaches that watched the video and that said that they were touched by it has blessed me so much. And so I had honestly been thinking about asking Megan, hey, like, what do you think about doing a team call? And then it was perfect that Katie and I kind of talked last week about possibly both sharing our story, and it just kind of felt a place. So that's kind of the backstory about how this call came about. But basically, in the fall, I made the decision to lay my business down. In October, that was my 49th consecutive month in Success Club. So 4 years and 1 month. Since the very beginning of my business, even though I didn't really intend to start a big business, that was never what I wanted to do, I dove head first. As Megan said, I loved it. I loved our team culture. I loved the idea of it, and I went all in. And had the whole time. I did way more things than I ever expected I would ever be able to do. And my team is amazing, and there's been such a blessing in that. But for a long time prior to that, the truth is that I had been struggling in my business for a long time, and in just my personal life in general. So even though maybe from the outside looking in, I was still on leaderboards and I was still earning Success Club, and maybe from the outside things looked fine, the truth is they had not been for a long time. If I'm being completely honest, from about the very beginning of the year 2016, after pushing very hard in 2015 to earn the title of elite for my team and I was very pregnant. I had a very difficult pregnancy with my 4th child. And I remember starting the year 2016 just really lost. But I kept going. And I was very sick and very ill. And some days I had a hard time getting out of bed, and I was taking care of 3 other children and was very sick, embarrassing myself in public all the time. As those of you that have had babies know, that morning sickness can be no joke. And it was all day long until about 30 weeks. I had no relief. And I just kept pushing. I kept pushing and I kept pushing. Because I didn't want to lay my pride down. I didn't want to say that I needed a break. I didn't want to let my team down. I didn't want to let Megan down, even though she never put that kind of pressure on me. I didn't want to not be seen as a leader. I didn't know. I'm a person of faith, and I wasn't sure whether I was hearing God properly and what I felt like I needed to be doing. I was just completely lost. So I just kept going and going and going, month after month, and earning Success Club. But what happened is, throughout that year and a half almost of kind of just floundering, I really started to lose sight of why I was doing this. I wasn't doing it. I don't want to say it wasn't bringing me joy, but I was focusing on the wrong things. And so that is what we're going to talk about. It came to a head in October when I just felt like I no longer was doing anyone a service by bringing in challengers, but feeling like I wasn't taking a very good care of them, or feeling like I wasn't being a very good leader to my own team. And I knew that the time had come that I was going to step back. So I told my team, and I told Megan, and I told Katie and Jen and Stephanie, and everyone was very supportive. Some were very sad, but especially on my team. But I was very honest and open and shared with them, and everyone was very supportive. And for 2.5 months until the beginning of January, I did not do anything with my business aside from doing some leaderboards in my own team for those that were continuing to do great things. I wanted to show up and showcase them as leaders. But I did not So I told you I earned 49 consecutive months of Success Club. I did not earn 50. I did not earn Success Club in November and December. And then I truthfully didn't anticipate picking it back up again in January. I didn't pick it back up again this year in January because it's New Year's and everyone wants to get fit, or it's the easier time of year to get people on board, or any of those reasons. I picked them up because I gained so much clarity during my time off that I realized a lot of things that I needed to change, and that I basically needed to start over again. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. So what went wrong? Ultimately, I think if I had to peg it to one thing, and I'm not good at that, but if I had to peg it to one thing, it stemmed from belief. For many, many years, totally, I had so much belief just in myself and in my team and everything. And somewhere along the way, something happened where I stopped believing that I could do this. Things started to get harder for me. Maybe you can relate to that. People weren't coming to me all the time saying, hey, when's your next challenge group? And people weren't, maybe they had a coach in the past, or Beachbody, they had heard of them more, or I wasn't bringing in as many coaches or having some of the original accolades that I had in my business, because I had chosen to step back and not work as much because I had 4 children and different priorities and different things that happened. And somewhere along the line, that little voice in my head started to get too loud to drown out. And that belief started to get shaken. Not in my team or anything like that, or even in what we do. I believed in what we do, but somewhere along the line, I stopped believing in myself. And when you allow that to happen, you're opening up a big can of worms. Once that belief is gone or starts to creep out, is when I started to notice things started happening. So I started focusing on the wrong things. Maybe looking at my business growth in ways that necessarily weren't even important, focusing on things that necessarily weren't that important. For me, I never set out, truthfully, to have a big business. That is not the reason that I became a coach. I'm thankful for the business that I have, and I have worked very hard for it. But that is not the reason that I became a coach. And so throughout those years, what happened is that I started focusing only on those accolades and those markers, and those things that I told you about, which I'm proud of. But again, we're not the reason that I started this. And so I felt like I was spinning my wheels. And then as social media climate started kind of changing, I said this in my live video, I had built my business 99.9% on Facebook and like 0.01% in person. So when Facebook algorithms and things started to change and everybody's going to Instagram and IG stories and all of these things, I was like, I'm out. Like, I was so overwhelmed in my life at that time with my baby. I need to back up a little bit. After I had the baby, after the bad pregnancy, he's also been my most difficult. And so I had really bad postpartum depression this time, and I just kept going and going and going. Sleepless nights. He's 19 months old and he still doesn't sleep great. And I just kept going. And I had exhausted myself to the point that I could no longer really even remember why I was doing this. And so what happened was, as things started to change, I just didn't really want to change with them. And I just felt stuck. And maybe you can relate to that feeling. I just felt stuck. I wasn't making progress in any area of my life, my own health and fitness goals. I just was stuck. And it started with that unbelief, that belief that maybe I couldn't do this. I had a track record that showed that I could. I had people that I can't even imagine what my life would be like if they hadn't been brought into my life because of this opportunity. It's literally going to make me cry. And yet I started to doubt myself. And that started to make me focus on the wrong things. And so that wrong mindset, I realized that I had an all or nothing mindset. I always have. I've always been very type A and perfectionist. And what had happened was I felt like if I could not do it 100% and be elite again and, all of these, exponential business growth like I had in the beginning, that I wasn't a success anymore, that this wasn't for me anymore. And I was too tired and too, I guess, focused on the wrong things to want to actually figure out how to move forward. I just felt stuck. And so I also realized that in that all or nothing mindset, I was like, if I can't be the best and crush it, then I'm just not going to do it at all. This is not for me. I can't do it. And this is someone that has had a wonderful career that's been so blessed, but I've been so blessed by it, but I got stuck there. And so I have so much I want to share. I'm trying to keep it brief. So what I realized though is that all or nothing mentality stemmed from fear. I was fearful about changes that I was seeing, Megan having to change up how she was doing things, and we were revamping things that we were doing in the team, just seeing that things were changing. And I realized I don't like change. And I wanted to kind of stay in my safe bubble, but it wasn't working because I was stuck. I was just spinning my wheels. And so I decided in October that I was going to lay it down for a while. And the truth is, it was the best thing I could have done. And I think anyone that knows me would say that. I truthfully don't know that I really expected to be able to sit here today and say, that I want to make a comeback. There was a time that I truthfully felt like in the beginning, when I first laid my business down, I felt like an enormous weight come off my chest at first, because I felt like I wasn't letting people down anymore. I felt like I wasn't letting my team down. I felt like I wasn't, letting my husband down, and I was distracted, or I felt like I was not letting my family down as much, or whatever. It was one area that I felt like at least I wasn't like failing in that area. And this all or nothing mindset. But during that time, what I realized was that I had the time. I felt like I never had the time to do this well. And what I realized as I was like binge watching Netflix every single night during my time off, and still mindlessly scrolling on social media all the time, I realized that like I had time to give to this business, focused time, and that I was choosing to not use my time wisely, which has always been a struggle for me, consistency, work hours. And so that is one thing that I realized during that time off. I also realized that another thing that went wrong for me is that there weren't any boundaries in my life before this hiatus. I was never very good at scheduling my work time and then family time and, keeping things separate. There weren't any boundaries. And so everything just kind of bled together, which is why I always kind of felt scattered. And perhaps you can relate to that, especially if you're a mom and, if we're home with our kids, or if you have a full-time job, and maybe you kind of feel like things are always bleeding into each other. And that was me. And when you couple that over 4 years with postpartum depression and 4 babies and a colicky baby, it's no wonder I was led to feeling just completely depleted. I had let my own soul I hadn't taken care of myself. Okay. And so I realized that I didn't have any boundaries in my life, and I had to set those boundaries and honor them for real this time. We talk about the importance of honoring those work hours and scheduling your days. And yet I was never ever good at doing that. And it ultimately led me to feeling like I fully had to just lay this down. So I did need a break. What I've realized on my time is that I needed a break, truthfully. And that's a good reminder for us all, is that if you're feeling, burnout, that sometimes we need a break. That's why you should have a rest day in your workout period. That's why, I know Megan is working on, making sure she is, better guarding her time and how we're all learning, and it's always going to be a learning process. But for me, I learned I needed a break. But the main thing that I needed to do was to stop looking around, stop looking to the left and to the right and at this person and comparing myself to this person's business growth, and stop looking around, put my head down and focus. And so on what I'm called to do, what I want to do, and what I ultimately realized during my time off is that I genuinely missed helping people. I genuinely missed helping people achieve their health and fitness goals. I'm a fitness professional. I'm a personal trainer and fitness instructor. I do fitness. It's what I am passionate about. And I know wholeheartedly that our programs and products can change people's lives. And so the clarity that I gained during that time off has made those 2.5 months where I truthfully laid my business down literally a time of such rich growth and just maturity and clarity for me that it was worth it. I've realized that I truthfully miss helping people. And that is ultimately what we do as coaches. It's not about, there's nothing wrong with wanting to build a huge business and earn these big titles. There's nothing wrong with that. We're all motivated by different things. I'm motivated by recognition. I just am. But when we lose sight of the true reason why we do this, why we talk about our why so much, that is what can ultimately lead to feelings of burnout and feeling like you need to take a step back. So we're going to talk a little bit at the end, but ultimately I realized that what I needed to do was get focused. I needed to get focused. And that's, I think, what it takes to have your comeback. And we're going to talk about that at the end. But one thing that I want to talk about real quick before we go into Katie is that actually, you know what? I'm going to stop there. Okay. Katie, you there?
Yeah. Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Andrea. I loved hearing your story. I know I've heard a lot of it. Okay, so those of you who don't know me, I'm Katie Auerhahn, and Megan already introduced me, but I've been coaching for maybe I think 4.5 years now, and my story is, I'll give you like a really super brief whatever for those of you who haven't heard it. Like Megan said, I feel like everyone's heard it, but I gained a lot of weight when I was pregnant with my son, who's 6 now. So I can't believe it, but 6 years ago we had trouble getting pregnant, and then we did fertility. We got pregnant with twins. One of them was sort of never had a heartbeat, kind of absorbed, and wasn't really a miscarriage. It was kind of absorbed into the other, and I was kind of afraid to do anything. So I didn't do anything. Didn't do any exercise. I didn't eat very healthy. I gave in to every craving, because when you're pregnant, especially the first one, you don't realize that when you have that baby, all that weight doesn't come off when you give birth. You have your 8-pound baby, and then you have the other 60, 70 pounds that I had. So that's sort of where my story begins. My husband, like Megan said, worked at a really wonderful gym here in Rochester at the time. We had a membership. I used to take my son, and then I'd get a call. He needed to eat, or he had a poopy diaper, or whatever. I had a lot of trouble losing the weight. It was about 70 pounds. I got started with Turbo Fire, and then to my surprise, Megan showed up to teach Turbo Kick at the gym that we were members of, which had never been taught there before, and that's how I met her. And then it's where I really started working with like a coach. As we all know, that makes all the difference in the world. Husband got started with T25 in Chicology while I was pregnant with my daughter at this point, who's 4 now. And after I had delivered her in October of 2013, I decided to kind of jump on board, get Shakeology. I think Charlotte was 7 days old when I signed up for the discount. And I mean, that's kind of where my story begins. Like Megan said, it really was like a hobby for me. I did it. I remember, I think it was like, I don't know, maybe January. So I became a coach in October, maybe like January. I had done some of Megan's clean eating groups, and she was like, just kind of casually, if you ever want to do one on your own, I have all the stuff for you, the menus, the posts, whatever. And I said, oh, might as well run one. And I worked my business literally in the mom cracks of my day. I didn't put any other time into it. I remember I'd nurse her for hours in the evening, and that's when I would work on my phone. And then throughout the day, kind of bits and pieces. And I don't even remember, maybe a year in, when it really started to take off is when I kind of got serious about my business and decided Success Club was non-negotiable. You know, I was going to build for, at that point I was building for Premier, you know, building a team of coaches, doing team calls, all the team stuff. And, you know, getting my mom to babysit the kids so I could really work, and falling in love with having that business to grow for real and not just doing it for you know, I don't want to say for fun because it was still fun, but as like a hobby. So that's my story. I think I'm not really leaving anything out that's super important. So anyways, I'm going to share a little bit about what I'm calling like my setback. And it's quite a bit different from Andrea's, but hopefully it's along the same theme, and hopefully you guys can relate to one of us at least. I got pregnant with my third baby in October, and felt great. We took off to Vegas for the leadership retreat, and literally the flight home from Vegas overnight, it was from Vegas to Detroit, or Vegas to Chicago, it was with Jen and Stephanie, is when it all went downhill. And ever since that flight, I was just super, super sick with morning sickness. And I remember getting off the flight and being like, oh, it was probably something I ate. I literally spent the whole flight overnight from Vegas in the bathroom. I was like, it's probably just something I ate. And I remember Jen saying, no, it's from your pregnancy. I know it. And it started then, and it never ended for about 8 weeks. So I was about 5 weeks in. For about 8 weeks, it was just constant throwing up, feeling nauseous all the time. And I know lots of moms go through it, so I feel bad complaining about it, but man, when you're in it, it is just hell. It is awful. Plus with the two other ones, you know, whatever. So my setback, my sort of like break from the business, kind of was pushed on me. I was just coming back from this awesome leadership retreat where you really feel revived and rejuvenated, and all these wonderful ideas are thrown at you, and all of a sudden I cannot get out of bed. I remember getting up one day and going downstairs to get something to eat, and my husband, who thankfully we're so lucky that he works, he has his own business, and he can work from home if he needs to. And he looked up at me and he said, oh, wow, I can't believe you're out of bed. I mean, this is like a couple weeks in after this, so we laugh about this now. But so my sort of setback sort of just hit me, and it just kind of came out of nowhere. And I know, you know, everyone's sort of setback, if you have had one, or if you're in one, or if you have one coming up. I mean, maybe I think a lot of people sort of go into hiding. Their setback is sort of going into hiding when you feel like a failure, or maybe you have a family emergency, or whatever it is. Or maybe it's something like Andrea said, where you feel like you need to take a break, whatever. I'm going to say, just for myself, now that I'm back working, it's easier not to take a break. It would have been easier for me to be consistent, but at the time, not being able to get out of bed, I felt like I couldn't give anything to my challengers. If I looked at my phone, I got dizzy. It was just not happening for me at the time. So back in November, after hitting Success Club for 2.5 years, 3 years-ish, December, it was a decision, even though I was super, super sick, that the Success Club wasn't something on my radar back in December and November. And I'm going to be honest that it was really hard for me to come to terms with that. But I also knew that, you know, as I was kind of toward the middle, I was like, maybe I could talk to a few people. I was in my head, I'm like, you know what, I don't have anything to give to these people. I don't have the energy to find out their goals and give them menus and set them up with a schedule, all those things that I would typically do with my challengers. So it really sort of was decided for me that it wasn't something that was going to happen. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on why I had my setback, but I do want to talk about the coming back of it, because for me, I knew I was going to come back, but it was just going to be like when. And for morning sickness that lasted all day and all night, you kind of slowly come out of it. So by mid-December, maybe the second week of December, I was kind of slowly coming out of it. So I would wake up and either I'd know that I would be spending the whole day in bed or in the bathroom, or I'd wake up and I'd feel like, okay, I can get up and I can move today. I can maybe take my daughter to preschool or whatever. So the days sort of slowly started getting better. So here's when I had to decide, am I going to get back to work, or am I going to continue to rest? Because I definitely could have continued to, I'm not saying I wasn't still resting, but I definitely could have continued to take like my break. I was still having the sickness, and then I got the stomach bug. I mean, there was still like reasons where I could have said, I'm going to stay out of my business for a little while longer. My leaders were stepping up and they were doing stuff in our team and everything else. So I really, I could have. But I came to that decision that it was time for me to get back. And there was a couple of reasons for that. A couple of things I want to share about that. First of all, I want to say that, and I think Andrea and I both agree, either way, we are both, we're 5-star lifetime diamonds. We both hit elite. We've both hit premier in the past. We're both successful legends. But it's still a struggle to come back no matter what your past is. Whether you've never hit Success Club and you've been working or whatever your past is, it's still really hard. It's still been for me to get back into a work mode, it's been really, really hard. You're out of the habit. It's just not easy. I felt stalled. I felt frozen. I felt like I had nothing to post. I felt like, before I got pregnant, I was in this really great mode of getting up at 6 every morning and working for an hour and a half before my kids got up. And then my health was the best it's been. I just done the ultimate reset. I got pregnant while I was doing the ultimate reset. So if you've done the ultimate reset, you know that you feel amazing. And then all of a sudden you feel like crap. And that's really hard. So I feel like, for those of you who feel like you've had a setback, you need to come back. We've been there. We feel it too. I also, like Andrea said, I was in the habit of watching Netflix like it was my job. I mean, I went through season after season of multiple shows. So once you're in the habit of doing that, it's really hard to give that up at night and be like, okay, I got to buckle down and I got to do some work. Not that you shouldn't allow yourself to rest, because I think that's a huge part, no matter if you are coming back from a setback or if you're just working, you really have to allow for rest, but it's hard to get out of that habit. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and jump in since we're getting late here. I'm going to go ahead and jump in and give you my action steps, and I'll pass it back to Andrea and she can give you her action steps. Some of them overlap, some of them are a little bit different, so hopefully you get something out of some of them. Okay, and literally, I didn't spend too much time preparing for this call because I wrote down exactly what I did to come back in December. So here we go. The first thing is you have to make the decision. I think we both agree on this. You have to make the decision to be consistent again. I decided that in December, Success Club was going to happen because I wanted to get back to work. I wanted to help people. I wanted to show my team that I was back. And then December is a really tough month. I mean, not many people are starting their journey, but that doesn't matter to me. There are always going to be people who want help. Start with yourself. I think that's the biggest, one of the biggest things. As I started to feel better, I realized I wanted to have, well, I already knew this, but I made it a point that I'm going to have a healthy pregnancy when I can eat. Okay, so there were days, obviously, that I gave in to this, that, and the other thing back when I was starting to feel better and food started to taste good again. And I decided when I was feeling good on those days, I was going to do some yoga. I was going to do some country heat. and I was going to post about it. I was going to make sure that I was at least attempting to eat healthy and maybe get my shake in on the days when I could. So starting with yourself and getting a plan. The next thing that really helped me was writing down my reasons why I wanted to come back. Because I'm not kidding when I say, like, I was out of the habit of working. Like, I didn't run challenge groups. I didn't check in with people. I was way, like I felt like I was like miles away from what I used to do, and I didn't know where to begin. So here's my list. I know that I like to help people. I miss that. You guys, I was bored. As I started to feel better, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't have anything to do. My kids are playing. They don't need me right now. Like, what do I do with myself? I was bored. You can only watch so much Netflix. My series ended. Like, my series kept ending. Like, I watched Friends, that ended. I watched Big Love, it ended. I watched Marvelous Miss Maisel. Like, everything kept ending, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sad. What am I gonna do now? I needed a purpose, and I still am into Netflix right now. I think because of my of being sick. I will be honest and say that my husband and I didn't watch very much TV before I got pregnant. Once I got pregnant and I got sick, I feel like we watch more TV now. Anyways, but my series ended and I was bored. And like Andrea already said, I was on my phone anyways, scrolling. Like, when I started to feel better, I'm like, I'm already scrolling on Facebook. I mean, I think we all could admit to that. I think a lot of us use time as an excuse, but then we get on our Facebook and we scroll. Why not put a purpose behind what you're doing? The income. I'm not going to lie and say that, that's not important to me. Like, I like having the extra income. And Andrea and I talked about this at length when we were preparing for our call. Like, what other job is there where, like, I'm home with my kids? When I had to take November off, I still got paychecks in the mail that were just as good. Something that I love. Like, even if I was to find a part-time job, I'd have to work around when they needed me for hours. I mean, the income is something. It's not why I started, but it's definitely something that's keeping me going. And the friendships. I mean, we all know this. Andrea already talked about this. I know we love each other. We know that. And I miss talking to my friends. Okay, next one. Make lists. I love making lists. And my lists are all over the place. They're all over my agenda. They're on a random piece of paper. I make lists. I'm not very organized. Make lists of people you want to talk to. And that's not to say you have to talk to them all in one day, but start making a list. Make tasks, like daily to-do lists. That really, really helped me when I'm like, what do I do now? What do I do today? Like, I'm not in conversation with anyone. Like, back in September, you have like 20 conversations going here, and then you have 10 who are ready for a challenge group. And then you have, these invites for your 5-day group. All of a sudden, November, I have nobody I'm talking to. Like, my conversations are dead. Like, I turn on my phone and I have no new messages. Like, I think we can all, if we stopped working at all for however long, it's scary to turn on your phone and not have any new messages. So start making those daily to-do lists. Who are you going to talk to today? Who are you going to invite to your challenge group? Are you going to plan a challenge group? That's another one. Plan a group and tag team it. That's November was when, I reached out to my team and I was like, who wants to do a fitness free group with me? Because I didn't want to do it alone. And I had, I think, 5 of my coaches do it with me. Thank goodness, because it was so much more fun. I didn't know where to begin. Team up with a buddy, team up with people. It's so much more fun. And, get your mindset in the right place. Just like Andrea said, find the joy in it again. I think that's really important. I think I needed to find the joy in it coming back and figure out what I missed about it and find those things again, even though I felt super lost coming back. So I'm going to turn it back over to Andrea. She's got some great to-dos as well.
Okay, so yeah, I know we're getting late here, but I was like writing down so many more notes while Katie was talking because, one of the things, the main thing that I want to kind of hit on tonight is that we both made a decision Hers was a little bit more like unconscious. So like she was very, very sick. And so she just kind of was put in a position where she had to make a decision that she was going to step back. But for me, I truthfully probably should have made that decision when I myself was as sick as I was with Benjamin. Except I never did. And I just kept kind of going through the motions, which led me to just complete and total burnout. But our stories are similar in that regard. But for me, I made the decision in October. I lost my flight. All the money I had invested to go to leadership. I was supposed to go with them. And I made the decision when I knew I needed some time off. I made that decision to step back because I knew I could no longer keep going on the path that I was on. And so I made a decision that day that things were going to be different. And at that time, I thought it was going to be that I was no longer going to be doing this, or at least I called it a sabbatical. I was taking time off. But just like her, when I decided that I was going to come back, I had to make a decision that I was going to come back as well. And so if you take nothing else from this call tonight, make a decision that you're going to do, that you're going to come back. I did that live video because that was me making a decision that I was putting it out there to the team that I was going to come back. I had 0 Success Club points. I don't, at that point, I had not earned Success Club in November and December. I had no conversations going. I had not run a challenge group in 3 months. I had no idea what I was doing, but I went live in that team. And the truth is, I could have just kind of slunk back in. It was only 2 months that nobody saw me on leaderboards. Maybe nobody really noticed that I was MIA. Maybe nobody really noticed. I don't know. But I wanted to own it and make that decision because I felt like when I actually put it out there, it took kind of like the shame away. Like it was kind of like, I'm owning this. There is no reason to feel shameful that there had to be a couple months that I struggled here and then I decided to lay it down, and I'm making the decision to come back. So that's a big one. Make a decision. But that is the reason why I made that video. I had no idea how to come back either. So if you're feeling like you don't know where to start, know that even those of us that have 4-year careers in this, we don't know where to start either sometimes. And that's okay, because what I needed was a total and complete overhaul. I needed a renewed commitment to my own health and fitness goals. That was huge. I had struggled with that the entire time since I had Benjamin, to make myself a priority and get that baby weight off. So then therefore I didn't have anything to post about. People weren't seeing me committed to a program. I wasn't feeling great about myself. I then therefore didn't feel like I had any value to share with people. And that has a ripple effect. So that's a big one. And I have really had to be creative in how I wanted to do it. But because I'm a sucker for acronyms, and because I'm a teacher, I came up with this little thing that hopefully will be easy for you to remember. So I said earlier in the call that I had to get focused. So when I decided I was going to come back, I had to get focused. So we're going to go with FOCUSED, focused. Okay, so if you're taking notes, I want you to write that down on your paper. And the F stands for fear, knocking it out. And what I mean is that I feel like a lot of us that maybe want to make a comeback, that's the thing I've heard the most is that people are fearful. They've been away from it for so long, or they don't know how to get back, or they're worried about what people are going to think, or they don't have the belief that maybe they can actually do this. Maybe they've tried in the past and they didn't feel like they had success with it, whatever. Knock that fear in the face. Say it out loud right now. There's a chat bar here. Say that you're making a comeback, and whatever that looks like. Maybe that looks like it's your own health and fitness goals. Maybe that looks like going gung-ho with this business. Whatever that is, you got to knock that fear out, because that is, I think, the root of where what's inhibiting people from actually making a comeback. I was fearful to do this myself. Am I going to be able to come back and actually have success with this? But I am. So the second is, and this one was kind of hard for me. I went back and forth for the letter O, being optimistic or the word opportunity. So it's two ideas. One thing that I had to realize was that what an incredible opportunity we have, okay, to sit and help other people. There are not a lot of other things that opportunities that we have like this. And this is an amazing opportunity. As Katie said, and I told this to Megan, and I wasn't sure if I was going to share this tonight, but I think that it's important. This last Thursday, I actually earned my highest check ever as a Beachbody coach in over 4 years. And that is after taking 2.5 months off of this business, not doing a single thing. What other business are you going to be able to say that? Okay. I had a good week the week before that too, but I had my highest earning week. Now, I'm not motivated by money. That's not what's important to me. But what I'm trying to say to you is we do have an amazing opportunity here at our fingertips, not only to help other people, but to literally transform your life, your family's life. This business enables me to do something that is very, 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 very important to my family that we would not be able to do otherwise. And I had to realize that that is the opportunity. And the other part to the O here is that my best friend said to me, and this is so important, it goes along with what Katie and I said, something is going to occupy your time. That word occupy, the O. What is it going to be? Something is going to occupy your time. Is it going to be Netflix? Is it going to be mindless Facebook scrolling? Or is it going to be actually doing something that gives you that purpose? Because I know, just like Katie, I was bored and I really missed it after like the first couple of weeks. Like, in the beginning, I was enjoying like a little bit of a reprieve, and then I was kind of like, I'm so bored. Like, what am I doing with my life? I was totally lost. You can ask Brittany, I'm crying at church. I was totally lost. And so be optimistic about the amazing opportunity we have, and something is going to occupy your time. What is it? Okay. C, creative. Get creative. Do things that are going to instill the joy back in this business. Get creative again. I have been kind of changing up how I'm talking to people, not being so nearsighted on only challenge packs. Perhaps that's not the best opportunity for what they need, or, talking more about the performance line. I've just tried to open myself up and be more creative to how I want to work my business. It's your business. Be creative with it. Be creative with how you run your challenge groups. Jump in with a friend. I've jumped in. I came back. I told one of my diamond coaches, Abby, I was lost and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was coming back and I needed to get on the 80-day obsession train. She added me to her team challenge, and there was like 40 or 50 people in there at that point. I'm like, wow, my team is doing these amazing things, and here I've been totally pieced out, not even paying attention, and our challenge group is rocking. It's been so much more fun for me. So do something that's creative. Change it up. If you're not, finding joy in your business, be creative. Change it up. Now, this one is kind of hard, but letter U, I put the word up because I do feel that it is so important. For me, I've had to start my day with a good morning routine. It is critical for me, and it has been critical for me in this comeback. And I'm not saying you have to get up at 5 a.m. We do have a wake up to your best self morning group. That's an amazing group of people. And I told my girls, Molly and Chelsea and Abby, that are on there every morning, that they had to get my butt out of bed and make me be on there, because I'm not a morning person. But I'm telling you, a positive start to your day is going to make a huge difference. You can have a miracle morning in 5 minutes if you need to, but a good positive start to your day is huge. And so I highly recommend getting up and getting the right mindset, the right mentality to start your day. It's gonna be huge. The S stands for share. Share with other people. Just like Katie said, jump into a challenge group, partner up, get an accountability partner for this comeback club. I would love to help facilitate get an accountability partner to help you on your comeback journey. Okay. Share with other people, collaborate. That's what we're here for. Utilize this amazing team that you have. The E stands for exercise, but it basically comes down to your own health and fitness goals. I do believe that everything in this business stems from that. So if you are not committed to a program, get on one, because that's going to be what you share with people, and that's going to be what is going to drive people to you and attraction to your pages, and it's going to give you something to post about, and it's going to give you confidence. Guys, if we're not working on our own health and fitness goals, we don't feel like we can share with other people. We feel like we don't have the credibility that we need, and I felt like that for the longest time. So jumping in with this 80-day obsession has been a great way for me to get back in. So your own health and fitness goals are crucial. And then the D just stands for make a decision. Like I've talked about, you've got to make a decision that you're going to come back and do it. Put it out there, make a decision and own it. You've got to be determined. One thing I've been telling myself is there is no plan B. This is what I want to do with my life. There is no plan B. I have to figure out a way to make it work. It's a mindset shift. You've got to be focused and make that decision. So I have so much more I wanted to share, but it's already almost 10 o'clock. And I think that is basically all that we have. Megan, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Maybe if you wanted to maybe like go live tomorrow, something in the event, if you felt like you had some more stuff to share, that might be valuable. So yeah, definitely take that opportunity tomorrow and, put that in the event. So I'm not going to keep you guys on, except that I wanted to note this. No matter if you're here and you've had a setback or a stall, no matter, I don't think it really matters where you're at. In your week, you have unmotivated moments. Like I know for some reason Monday, I was like, I don't know why it took me to like noon to do, and I work from, this is what I do. I have my children at school. Like, it's like I don't have time. It was just, one of those days where I was just struggling to get my, wheels in motion. And these are the things that you just do anyway, no matter like whether you've had a 2-month hiatus or just like a few hours of twiddling your thumbs, like making a decision, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. This is very, relevant no matter whether you have a 2-hour hiatus or a 2-year hiatus. You made a decision. Andrea said she went live because it was accountability. You didn't really say those words, but like, you're just like, okay, I'm going to do it. Didn't even think about it. You just did it. You knew that once you put it out there, you're going. You have no choice. But we don't make those decisions because we know that we can't back out of decisions.
Yep,
so just
exactly.
fall and ease back in. You're not. We're going to ease into mediocrity. So it's just putting it out there like, no, here I go. Whether it's public, declaration on Facebook or whatever. These are things that I can use in my whatever moments throughout the week of, and starting with yourself. Those of you who are maybe just stalling in general, start with yourself. Like Katie said, exercise. That is the number one place to start anyway. If you're not number one focusing on that, then like it doesn't matter. The rest doesn't matter. This business isn't authentic anyway. So this is all just great no matter where you're at and you're stalling stuff. Maybe you're a coach who's never really gained momentum in the first place. So there's nothing to set back. You just haven't really gotten to a place. It's a decision. It's focusing on yourself. It's knowing why you want to do this, making lists of people to talk to. It's planning a group. No, it's not a negotiable. I'm running a group every month. No, well, we'll see if I pull people together. We'll see how this goes. That's not how it works. These ladies said, okay, now's my time. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put something into place, and that's going to keep those wheels in motion. So this was great. Thank you guys so much for sharing. Thank you so much for your vulnerability. Guys, can I just say this? You may not have this context because, you're not as, I don't know what the word is. I haven't been as enveloped in the network as I have and some of these leaders have. So many people had a tough year. A lot of these mature leaders, when things started to shift, a lot of people got afraid and started to flounder and took big dips or jump ship, or they're just kind of wallowing in their whatever. But it is really brave and courageous to just own your struggle, to put it out there and to come on a call as a leader and say, yeah, I got stuck. Yeah, I had struggles. Yeah, but I love this and this is what I'm going to do. Like, that is just not typical. And I'm not just gushing here. Like, I think that's amazing that we have these kind of examples on our team to show what that looks like. Because it's very unusual. It's very unusual. So I just really applaud their vulnerability. And they're an example for all of us to share our struggles and to be authentic, to be a hashtag Fearless Phoenix, hashtag Phoenix Rising. So I just had to go there. All right, y'all. I am going to post in the team page a little, post to say takeaway. So that's where I'm doing a random raffle for a one of those cool coolers. And because I can't help myself, I'll just throw it out there as a Success Club 10 incentive too. So I hope you share a takeaway anyway, even if you already hit Success Club 10, those few of you. But just because you know how I get, I'm like Oprah sometimes when I get prizes, I can't help myself. But everyone gets a cooler.
It's your love language.
Love language is gifts. It just is.
Amazing.
So, I'll do that little post for the team called Takeaway and just putting it out there to the team Success Club 10 incentive. Anybody who earns Success Club 10, I'll send you a cool cooler. Cool cooler. All right, y'all. Have a great night. And
Thanks for joining us.